Hello and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. Today's guest is a rapper. It's been a while since I had a rapper on the show. His name is Cameron Sell, aka Selly The Rapper. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. It's quite sunny where I am, so I'm looking forward to getting out there.
I won't keep you for too long, man. um, yeah, it's a bit crazy. I know. Oh, fucking hell, we're gonna talk weather, aren't we? It's crazy outside in England right now. I mean, it's May time, and May time's like my birthday, so I don't expect it to be this warm, and somehow it is. And I'm like, what the fuck? But obviously,
Yeah,
when there's
listen, I get the feeling that this is our summer, mate. Do you know?
oh nah, you've just jinxed us now. No, I mean, I can't help but agree with you. I think like, I what I predict is warm rain in June. That's what I reckon.
Pretty standard though. You know what you get with British weather, near enough. You know what I mean?
It's bipolar. I saw a video the other day where this is that comedian. I think his name's Jack Joseph, and he did like I've said this in the past. That I think UK weather is bipolar, and immediate. I think it's only English people tend to, or British people will turn around and know exactly what you mean. Because I shit you not, in Manchester there was a day where it rained, it snowed, there was sleet, and there was sunshine. That was a real day.
Uh,
I can't remember when it was like a few months back, but I was like, what the fuck is going on? Is this the apocalypse? And these days, I mean, wow. Anyway, should we talk about you then? Yeah.
okay, it might be a good shout, eh?
Yeah, go on then. Let's keep it simple from the beginning. How'd you get into rap?
How did I get into rap?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you say it's a simple question, but it's really not.
Keep in
I'd maybe
mind.
say it's trauma, like things I've been through and not feeling represented or listened to at all. I think that's why I got into that. So like when I was younger, I had, so I won't go too far into like what actually happened to me, but essentially I needed like CAMS, which is like child mental health services down here in
Okay.
the UK. But I just felt that like I wasn't listened to. They were sort of just trying to tick a box by having me there. Um, and yeah, no, that's the reason why I turned to music, because I could be more vulnerable on my own than what I could in front of those people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, no, no. I totally get where you're coming from like a trauma standpoint. I think I've always used music as like a source of therapy. Maybe it's not the greatest idea, I don't know, but to me it seems more constructive to be like, all right, here's this emotion, here's this thing I'm going through. Why not turn it into something? And then there's almost like a sense of release or distance or something. And it's remarkable because you move on with your life and that thing still happened, but it's like it can't hurt you anymore. It is what it is. And then other people will come out and just be like, "Oh my god, I heard this song, this thing you're singing about, this thing you're rapping about, and I connect with it, I relate to it." And you're like, "Oh shit, yeah!" Like, yeah. I mean, because do you get the same thing, or is it still very real when you're rapping those songs?
I mean, like there's certain songs that are very like they take me back. Let's
Right.
put it that way. But no, I get what you mean. Like it's great to be able to turn something so ugly into something beautiful, And it like it does it takes skill. Don't get me wrong. Like it's a muscle at the end of the day. Like it's something that needs to be built on. Like when I first started, like it was just screaming, mate. Do you know what I mean? It was just me in my room, like I'm so angry at everything. You know what I mean? But as you sort of you mature and you learn how to articulate your emotions, like that's when you start making art out of it. But it's a rough process getting there. You know what I mean?
Well, let's explore that process a little bit. So, like, you get introduced to rap music for a friend. You discover it online. Like, how did you sort of discover it initially? Like, what's the kind of starting point that then
Okay.
took you on that journey?
So like when I was younger, I really didn't have many friends, so it would just be me like walking around the local city centre,
Okay.
just listening to music, and then all of a sudden, this one hip hop tune came on. I think it was someone from High Focus Records, and I think Dirty Dyke. Do you know about Dirty Dyke?
It rings a bell, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
he
It's
wrote
yeah.
he wrote a song called Pork Pie, right? And it was the hook is like you better walk by or get force fed a pork pie. It's brilliant. And I
That's
love
brilliant.
the vulgarity of it. I've never, like, you're so used to hearing, especially as a kid, like more commercial, polished music, you know, and like this vulgar guy from Brighton had just made something so dirty, and it was so fun to listen to. And I think that was the main part where I was like, I want to create something like that out of my own life. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I remember when I got into rap that there was so much going on in the 2000s. Like, I guess I discovered rap kind of mostly through video games and skateboarding. So I was a skateboarder for years. I've always been a fan of music. When I became a musician, you experiment, you go in different fields, but you normally tend to like fall into one kind of genre probably. I like to explore, but like it's more kind of like rock, acoustic. It's always kind of been that kind of genre. But it's always fun to branch out of that and try different things, see what you can do as an artist, right? But in the early days, it was just like, okay, there's what you hear in the charts, and as you said, like a lot of it's polished. Some of it's really good. There was some good shit in the 2000s, but some of it was like the things that would irritate me would be like people would tell me that I don't know, Bullet for My Valentine is shit, poorly produced music, and then I'm like, all right, well, what's your comparison then? And then they would tell me that N-Dubs is the height of production, and I would just laugh in their face. I was like, look, I'm not even a production expert at this point at 14, but I know that that's poorly produced music because I can hear it at the back of the bus and it sounds shit, But here's the thing: there was so many good grime artists coming up, like JME, Skepta, etc. So that was like it was really fun on the British side, and then on the American side, like early 2000s hip hop was crazy, and I kind of fell in love with the 90s, early 2000s stuff, like your bigger groups like say Jurassic 5 and or who else? NERD was kind of fun. I mean, I know it was a bit more poppy, but it branched out into other things. Anyway, so you went more kind of underground with it. Is there any other like major artists that have kind of influenced your style? I know that's like the obvious question to answer. Like there's certain things I hear in your rapping, but like for you, who are the ones that stand out?
Okay, so it depends what avenue of creation I'm trying to go down, but I'd say for my more like double time, quick, intense flows, it's got to be Gets, formerly Ghetto, or Ocean Wisdom. Those are the two for me where I draw a lot of inspiration. Um, I think at the start, like I was like a carbon copy of them, to be honest with you. But as I've matured, like I've taken that flow and made it my own. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like slower hip hop, I would say I'll probably keep it UK with Loyal Kana. Like I love the uh. Do you know what I mean? Like that proper. I can do it on a mic. If I'm on a microphone, I can convey that tone, but it's quite difficult to just right now. But you know what I mean? In it, that low sort of the low end, like do you know what I mean? It's almost like it touches a different part of my brain
Yep.
to the double time, like the higher tones. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot warmer. Like it makes me feel a lot more comfortable. So like I usually reserve that kind of flow for things that you need to be a little bit more gentle to explain. So like my own trauma and my own issues. I feel like it wraps it up in a nice little bow.
Okay, can I throw a personal question and then relate it to music? Is that all right? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, did you ever have like therapy for what you dealt with?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, taking that into account, and then with how you branch, like do your songwriting and stuff like that, is there like certain things ways you have to be careful, or do you just kind of go, all right, I'm going to explore this for a bit, I'm going to get into that headspace for a bit, and then I'm going to take myself out of it? Like, do you have like a process for that? Like, how do you deal with that?
What, as in like not letting it like get to me?
Well, yeah, I mean, because let's face it, human beings, for the most part, I don't think we fully understand the nature of trauma. It can affect us in different ways. Like people laugh at, like, triggers as a word, but it's a very real thing. I've seen it. I get it. It's not something that's supposed to be logical because the brain, I don't think, where that's concerned, isn't logical. Like your brain protects you. You know, this is what people don't realize. Like when you go through something really fucked up, or you're dealing with some stuff, like your brain sort of compartmentalizes it,
Mm.
protects you. This is why so many people that have had like really, really traumatic events have like memory loss. They just don't remember because your
Yeah.
brain is trying to protect you. Because similar to how if you suffer like a real serious physical injury, your body goes into shock to protect you. Because if you actually felt that pain, I don't know what would happen. It would be really bad. You would be able to cope. I imagine, I'm not a brain chemistry expert, but I feel like it's the same with the mind. But
Yeah.
obviously, when you're bringing that back to, okay, I'm going to use this, I'm going to explore this, and try to make something creative out of it. It's dangerous waters. I feel sometimes. Like I had some sort of like traumatic personal relationships years ago, and I wrote a lot of songs, quite a few songs on my album that ended up being about that. But like I wrote about them years ago after we sort of broke up, and then there's years and years that have passed. Then I start writing music again, and then like a few years later, it's like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this album. Let's use some of these tracks, right? So like so much time has passed that it's like it's just kind of like an old memory, very distant that doesn't, I sort of recognize if I think about it, but then it's like it doesn't affect me anymore, But I feel like it's very real in the moment when you're writing it. Can we
Yeah.
talk?
I mean, you can. An important thing to acknowledge is it would never be reliving that is never as bad as actually living that, no matter how much time has passed, right? But strangely, like I don't necessarily feel that I have any sort like my heart isn't troubled by revisiting that place. If anything, I when I do take the essence of that experience and I put it in a track really well, there's a sense of pride that comes off of what I've done. Like I don't necessarily feel that like it rubs off on me too much. Obviously, listen, I've got PTSD, so there's going to be an
Hmm.
element of something coming back to me or certain images in my head,
Mm.
but there's no real danger. And after a long time of trying to respect that and realize that it's a lot easier for me to write now. But if you were to ask me 4 years ago, yeah, no, it's there's been many times where like I'm in the hole rather than rapping about the hole that I was in. So that's the times where you're really living it and you're really inside it. That's when it gets really difficult. Just probably like a couple of months ago, I wrote a track called Interlude. So from just a bit of inside context here, from October last year to probably about a month or two ago, like I was homeless. So like
Okay.
a bit of a stupid move to be honest, but I was with a woman and we were living together. I put all my eggs in that basket and then it just fell apart. You know what I mean? And it's these things happen. I've not got any malice towards her or anything like that. But I was homeless and I had to go live with my uncle in Kent. And like I didn't realize when I went to live with my uncle that he was like a massive cocaine addict, right? Like
Right.
his in the month that I spent there, he spent 30 grand on bag. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like it's not a joke, bruv. Like
Wow.
being, being around that at a time where I needed to focus on myself, like I spent all my time. Yeah, he's pretty. If he ever hears this, he's gonna kill me. But it's the truth. Like it's it was so hard trying to worry about him and get him to AA meetings, CA meetings. I was even trying to take him to church and just get him out of that position. When in reality, I was no better. So it was that was a difficult time writing, and I wrote a song called Interlude around it. And yeah, like every time for the first probably like 10 or 15 times I would hear that track once I've been to the studio with it, like it sends me back to that place and like all of that darkness and confusion and trying to focus on myself but worrying about my uncle like ultimately dying. It's not a
Yeah.
small amount
Yeah.
of cocaine that he's doing. So no, that's the only time recently where I feel like I've had that. Even if I listen to it now, it would take me back there. But that's more testament to how well the writing was rather than the difficulty of the writing, you know?
Yeah, I guess it goes back to the kind of the unpredictability of memories as well. Because I still get it so very rarely, but every now and again I'll be playing a track from my album or something like that live, and I'll start singing it, and I don't know, maybe it's like the feeling of the night, maybe it's like you're just in your feels, I don't know, but you start to think a lot about it, and you're like, wow, I've not thought about this in quite some time, and human emotions. If you're tapped into that, if you really choose to acknowledge them, it's powerful, you know. And of course, songwriting and music is all about storytelling, isn't it? It's what we do. It's reliving stories, memories, everything, and it's all sort of tied together in this ball. And you're kind of showcasing it every time you rap, you sing. You're showing other people sort of like an insight into your mind, an insight into your life, and it's kind of like, hey, take it for what you will. It's up
Mm.
to you. You make your decision. Which brings me into my next question. What's kind of your approach to songwriting? I've always found it fascinating how rappers work. Because, like, okay, maybe it's a dumb fuck question to ask a rapper, but I think it's a fair question. Can you freestyle?
So, right, okay, let me pick this apart because this is
Hmm.
become part of my like writing process is freestyling, because I feel like when you freestyle, where you're having to just come up with all of it off the top of your head, you're not worried about perfection, and more authentic moments come out where
Mm.
create you create like even like a 4 bar or something like that off the top of your head, which is just so like you just have a feeling around it, and when you have that feeling around even like a 4 bar or like a word, right, it gives you a prompt. And that's how I get started with writing nowadays. Before, I would have to wait like a month or two before it all sort of boils over inside me and I physically can't do anything but talk about it or write about it. However, now I've started sort of freestyling to start with, because then I can gauge off what's come out my mouth, what I'm feeling, and what I'm liking, and then I can build off that. So that's just something that I've adopted even like within the past week, to be fair.
Mm. Yeah, I mean it's amazing to watch in real time. Like I do sound on Wednesdays at an open mic, and there's this rapper that's shown up either the past 2 weeks or like twice this month. And he was freestyling, and he was doing it where he's like, right, just lay down a beat, give me a beat, give me this style of beat, this style of beat. And it was interesting to see how with certain tracks he really felt it, and it was, you could see him thinking in real time, like, okay, I'm talking about this now, I'm talking about this, and he was just, it's almost like a comedian doing crowd work. Like he's just kind of taking like what's going on here, he's thinking about what the track's making him think of. And then there are other tracks that even I would admit, like, because it's like we hadn't pre-listened to them, it was just kind of off the fly. I remember throwing one on and being, because I thought, oh, I want to hear him do some like 90s style rap, right? So I threw on like an Ice Cube style beat, and it was just the deadest beat ever. And I was like, oh, and he was making it work, but I was just like, no, I want to hear him like go for it. And then my co-host put like an Afrobeats vibe on. She's rapping, he's rapping, and he's feeling that a lot more. And it's like, yeah, this is working. This is
Mm.
where we need to be. But like one of my brothers can do it, and it's amazing to watch. Like the only thing I could do even close to that is like blues. Like that's kind of you just talk about whatever makes you sad and just do the pentatonic scales and you're fine.
Something there. I think it's interesting that you say about the beats and whatnot in terms of what he was feeling.
Mm,
I think as someone who like freestyles, that particular sort of concept is that you're supposed to like complement the beat. Do you know what I mean? Like your flows and the way that you freestyle are so entangled with the beat, like subconsciously when you're freestyling. I believe anyway.
mm.
But it's important to note. I think what my dad would say, okay, is if you have a bad beat, a rapper's never gonna make it good, okay. So what he would say is, you can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. You know what I mean? Like, like how
Mad.
gonna make it sound better, but unless the beat is, you know, up to that same standard is still going to be crap. So, but
I
yeah, continue.
I no, I agree. Like I think you can use that mindset with other things in life, where you can always kind of okay. Like I'm a big wrestling fan, right?
Okay.
And they often say salad out of chicken shit. Like same principle. Like if it's a bad storyline, it will be difficult to make it work. And there have been some instances where people have made it work. You know, they took something really silly and stupid that doesn't really help anyone, and they got it entertaining.
Yeah.
But then like the better storylines are the ones that like, you know, you have your emotions, you feel the build up is great, you know, there's a big payoff, you know, you've been anticipating it for a while, like it hits all the points. And I think that like that's kind of like what it is with matching a beat with the right flow. It's kind of like, okay, we can put something that sounds all right. We can put something that sounds like a mismatch, and then we can also put something together that like it just hits on all accounts, you know.
Mm.
Like the amount of times I've seen certain rappers just listening to certain beats, like you know, like you get those classic videos where they hear the beat, like a famous beat before, and they're like, oh, and they're listening, they're kind of like analyzing it in their head, like I could do something with that, I could do this, I could do this, I could do, and what I think that is, maybe I'm just theorizing, you're the expert, is trying to match the like how they would rap to it to that beat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're definitely onto something there.
The psychology
Yeah.
of rapping.
It is like
um,
strange though, because you can't. I don't think you can theorize rap. Like in terms of, well, you can in like lyrical content and like how the flow works, but there's always going to be an element about people and how they come on the mic that you're never going to be able to theorize because it's down to the individual.
well, what I will say
Okay.
is that no, I think you're on something. I just think that I mentioned rap psychology as kind of like a half joke there, but I think there is a thing there. I think that the way that rappers think is totally different to like singers, guitarists. There's an element of similarity as far as like maybe like songwriting is concerned. So like if you have a guitarist that knows their instrument well enough, they'll be able to come up with stuff on the fly. Like I did it last night. There was an unpracticed song, and I was paying attention to how my singer was singing it, and I was like, all right, we'll go slower here, we'll bring it up here. You know, it's just kind of like feeling the energy of what's going on and reacting accordingly.
Mm.
And I feel like you see it especially in rap freestyles, like battles and stuff between two people. I know that obviously, and we'll get into dissing in a second, but the idea there is I need to destroy my opponent, but I need to pay attention to what they're saying, think about my response, and so on and so forth. But there's that psychology element is has always fascinated me about rappers, and whether it's writing down, you know, lyrics and figuring out over time and putting it on record, or doing it in the moment, like the way the mind works for a rapper, I feel is completely different. And you're right, no two rappers are the same. Like there will be similarity maybe like in how ideas come, but ultimately, yeah, every person is different, every human being is different. But I digress. It's a fascinating psychology study. I feel there's a lot there that could be done.
There's a thesis waiting to be written.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But someone else can write that. I'll just do the podcast.
Yeah.
University made me hate reading. Like I'll do it for research purposes, and I'll sit listen to audiobooks all day. But sitting and studying papers is some of the most dullest stuff ever. So thanks, uni, for that. Um, you know, now like I can read books, but like I find myself getting tired. Right. This is why I listen to audiobooks now, because I've always been more visual and audio and stuff. I prefer all of that, but it's difficult to just sit there with a book with a fixed thing and just do it. You know, I really have to get obsessed with the thing before I can do that. Like, I don't know. Anyway, before we move on to diss tracks, because I could see you perked up there, and I've got so much to ask you, man.
Okay.
You've kind of touched on it a little bit, but give us an idea of some of the key themes that you explore in your lyrics. Like, what kind of makes you different to everyone else that's out there?
Right, those are two separate questions, right? Right, what makes me different? We'll answer that one.
All right.
I think what makes me different is that there's. I was just speaking to I think a couple of people about this yesterday. What makes me different is that there's so many artists at my level that look to more popular artists in, say, America, and they try and emulate that flow too much because they haven't matured enough on beat to become themselves and find their own sound. So what's different about me is that I can take those flows, say from America, but retain my own Britishness when delivering them.
Yeah, I mean, I love American rap as much as the next guy, but British rap. Yeah, I have a friend who's like he knows his rap. His name's Sam, and he just straight up said, you know, he just didn't like British rap. Kind of finds it uninspiring, and I get it. He's grown up with like Wu Tang and stuff, so like for him, that's where rap is. And I would tend to agree. Like some of the classics tend to be more American, but we have some amazing rappers in this country, and you know, every now and again when I look at the underground scene, I can see certain people that I'm like, with the right production, with the right resources, this person could be huge, you know? And we have seen a few notable examples of like commercially successful British rappers, you know, it has happened. But for some reason, I don't know if it's like the accent that is against us when it comes to rapping and stuff, but that does kind of make us stand out sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worst, you know? When you think about artists like, let's say, Dizzy Rascal, I can't remember if he's had a lot of success in America, but it's like very distinctly English when you hear him rapping. You know, you can, it's right there. You know, or Stormzy, or you know, I feel like Stormzy is kind of bridges the gap a little bit better, but you know, it's there, and it's a shame when you see British rappers sort of go, oh, no, I need to just completely just scrap this and just, you know, and it's the same with singers, you know, like, oh, I need to sound American. It's like, well, you're British, man. Like it's gonna happen, you know. Look, I've got like a song that I sing that's kind of in a more country feel, but then that's kind of like a country style song, so I just sing it that way. I didn't think like I want to sound American. It just happened,
That's the
you know.
thing. I hear a lot of rappers like definitely underground. None of them have made it, and if they carry on, they probably won't. But but like they're rapping like they're from like I don't know Barnstaple. You know what I mean? They're rapping like they're from Detroit. No,
Home of rap, Barnstable.
mate, fully right. And they're doing it in like American accents, and it's like, well, it's not you, is it? You know what I mean? The whole point of rap is, to me anyway, to show who you are and what you're about. So like, you have to be as authentic as possible. You can't be putting on accents, and you know what I mean?
I just this came to mind. This is funny. So the place I do the sound at, for a while they trialed a country night,
Okay.
and we all kind of looked at that like, "Ah, this is not a good idea." Like we have all sorts of it's like a rock venue, right? Like rock bar venue, all you know. So you get everything from like metal, rock, indie bands, rappers. You know, it's well known metal rock people love rap music. You know, it always has, always will. But country, I like country music, but I just think it's time and a place. Know your audience. You know, but the worst part about it was not even that. The worst part was that they all sung in American accents, and in between sets, they would talk. I shit you not, in an American accent. And my friends were out on a night out. Shout out to Josh, you're out, man. Um, they were on a night out, and like that's their local, so they're just hanging out. And these guys basically from the stage were like having a go at them, like, you know, oh, you know, you need to be quiet, this, that, and the other. And I've always found that disrespectful. I think, look, no, look, you're on stage playing, right? Now, don't get me wrong. If people are heckling you and being assholes, that's not cool. But my friends were just hanging out. They cheered a bit. They danced a bit. They're just having fun, you know, which is what you want, you know? It's better than apathy, and it's not like they're mocking you, you know. And my friend Josh, you know, when he always clowns people in the best possible way, and he just called them out on the fact that they were talking in American accents. He just called them all bellends and was just like, "Listen, like you're the dickheads, like choosing to speak in American even though you're British. Stop being melts." And he just walked off and carried on his night. And they just looked like twats after that. It's just like, you know, what I mean? And you picked up on the point perfectly there. Authenticity, it's everything. And human beings can see through nonsense, you know? Like, you might be able to fool some people, but most people, especially in the rap game, you know, people are going to read through that and pick you apart in a brutal fashion. So if you're not authentic, well, God help you. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I think it like right. I've got to speak about diss tracks. It's got to be done right, especially when you're dissing each other, right, and the other person is less authentic and is sort of playing this act or has a bit of a facade going on in terms of like the difference between their rap life and their actual life. Yeah, it doesn't end well. It does not end well, mate. Trust me. Like, I've been on both sides of the coin. You know, like when I was younger, and I was sort of like rap to me was sort of like this act because I was able to be seen by people that I wasn't seen before. So obviously there was ego with that. You know what I mean? Like, and it wasn't justified because I was shit. You know what I mean? Like, I was not good. Like as a kid, I was not good. So there was always people who were like, right, I'm gonna fucking body you. And I thank those people now because now I'm, you know, like I'm 20, mate. You know what I mean? I've got all the time in the world, and I've got like a great foundation for, you know, carrying on throughout my career. However, there's some people that are like older than me that still haven't got that authenticity yet, and like they're at that point that I was at when I was 16. They've been seen by the people and they've got the ego, but they've not been humbled yet.
Hold up, you're 20 years old on the
Yeah,
dot.
yeah.
Oh, you've got such a bright career ahead of you, man. Like I looked into your stuff, obviously, and I could tell your delivery was there, and because I always pay attention to flow, that's the first thing I look out for with a rapper. And I was like, this kid's got it. Like, well, kid, I figured you were close to my age, but I was like, he's got it.
How old are you?
I'm 32, so I'm an old fucker. But I looked at that and I was like, yeah, this is solid. This is a good UK rapper. This is exciting. 20 years old. Exciting times. Keep fucking pushing it, man. Keep working hard. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, man, for sure. But yeah,
yeah. This back to diss tracks.
Yeah. What did you want to say about diss tracks anyway?
Oh, so much. But what I want to do is, okay, for those who are not familiar, so I'll break it down for you. Diss tracks in general are when two rappers will write songs either specifically dedicated to one person, or maybe it could be a group or whatever. So you've got famous examples of like when Ice Cube left NWA, he threw a diss track at NWA expressing his frustrations with the group, and Eazy-E did the same thing. Or if you want a more modern, slightly more modern version, in 8 Mile, Eminem famously, the story is about his life growing up in Detroit as a rapper, and he destroys this guy in a scene that was played by the guy who plays Captain America. I can't remember his name.
Mackie, innit?
That's it, Anthony Mackie. Yeah. So to speak to your point before, like Anthony Mackie's character is like a preppy boy that's being hidden, and Eminem exposes that, and then he just destroys him. And puts on like a bit of a clinic, but also to make a point about, hey, you guys calling me fake, you saying I'm full of shit. Well, look at this guy. Like, you put this guy in front of me and I absolutely destroy him and show him, what he is. At least I'm real. This is who I am. And then, mic drop, walks away. So that's the nature of diss tracks in a very, abridged, like basic way. I'm intrigued to know, since you've probably been in quite a few over the years, What's like the most brutal one you've been a part of, and also that you've witnessed?
Right. So, oh my days. Right. So the most brutal one probably was when this. Right. So I used to be in a thing called like Southwest Collective. Well, I still am. I work with them, but I'm like my own independent brand, and but there's fusion there basically.
Cool.
There used to be a member of that group called Ginge, right? You've probably seen this on my Insta.
I've not seen this. I've got something else to ask you about something else, but yeah.
There was a guy called Ginge, and he was messaging me, basically being like, let's start some fake beef and whatnot. And I don't really do that. You know what I mean? I was hesitant, and I knew that there was some sort of catch where it's like, well, why would you put that on the line if you're not prepared to be one step ahead? Because this is like, when you offer me out in that kind of way, I start playing chess then. You know what I mean? It's not, this is just a diss war. There's something else going on always in the background when someone wants to put their career on the line like this. 100%. And I knew later on that he had information on me that I didn't know he had, and that was obviously his pawn that he had in his back pocket, ready to sort of let loose. But
so he wanted to kind of like, oh yeah, let's set up this fake thing, but then absolutely fucking wreck you with something you weren't expecting.
Yeah. But
snake behavior.
What he was expecting, like, yes, he had that information, but he was too tame, right? So for example, he sent the first diss at me, and to be honest, mate, it sounded like a lullaby. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't really tell he was talking directly about me, other than one time when he says my name, right? But I still see it as this geezer sent for me. So I'm not now going to be like, he's gone a bit tame, so I'm going to go a little bit tame, and it's going to be some little jabbing match. It's not happening, right? So if I'm going at you, I have a genuine problem with you on the mic. It may not be the same in personal life, but when I hop on that mic and I send for you, I hate you, bruv. You know what I mean? So what I did, I found out a week before this whole thing popped off that he had to put his dog down.
Oh no.
So
Selly, how could you?
Yeah, so I found a photo of the dog, I found the name of the dog, and I went, what the bar is, I'll put you down like Kobe, because the dog's name was Kobe. And I showed the dog on my phone to the screen, mate. Absolutely savage, bruv. Honestly. And like, he messaged me after that and he was like, my missus is crying now. This is way more than rap. Like, it's on basically. And he's after me now, apparently, just because he's bitten off more than he can chew in the rap department. But yeah, that was a pretty savage one. But off the back of that, I had, do you know about pen game rap battles?
I don't, but right. I know my friends are going to crucify me for not knowing that.
Nah. So basically, they're like the biggest rap battle company in the country. They've got like 300,000 followers on Instagram. Their most viewed videos got something like 60 million, something stupid like that. And they messaged me and they were like, do you want to do a battle? So I was like, yeah, obviously. So I've turned up and like this battle isn't out yet. But it was scary. I was in Lewisham Shopping Centre. Now,
bad enough.
I'm a Plymouth boy, yeah? Like, I only hear things about these kind of places, bruv. But from what I saw, I would not say that all of it was false, to be honest with you. Like, I was scared, bro. Walking down the street, it's just me.
So what you're saying is, right, it's not a great holiday destination for summer, no?
No. Especially not if you've got jewellery or anything of value.
Don't take your kids there, no.
Nah, don't get me wrong. There's some lovely people in Lewisham. Like, they're absolutely like some of my best friends are from those sort of areas. Depravity, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, I saw poverty in London. I grew up pretty poor myself. It's hard. And the funny thing is, when I was at school, it was like I was a poor kid, but then I met people that were like super poor, and I was like, wow. I guess like we're not so bad off, really. I mean, fucking hell. Like I started counting my blessings. I was like, Jesus, like it can really be so much worse. And then I started hanging out in London, and I saw even worse. I was like, wow, yeah, I'm just never going to complain ever.
No, that's it. You know, there's depravity everywhere, even in, you know, rural locations. Perhaps even more so. Like if you look at the there's some sort of like depravity index for the country that like look at the most deprived areas in the UK, and the top 1 percentile in the country is literally my postcode, like where I live,
Plymouth.
So yeah, no, there's depravity all over the country, no matter where you go. But yeah, no, anyway, so I'm in Lewisham, yeah, I'm in Lewisham Shopping Centre, and I've had to absolutely like destroy some guy because, bro, I take it too far anyway, right? If we were to talk in person, like just on a humorous one, I would say some shit that you would have to warn me about. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's perfect for me. Like, it's perfect for me because it gives me the chance to just go, oh, I can't say that. Oh yeah, I can. I literally can. So it's great to have that as an outlet. But it does make me a bit of a weapon when it comes to these avenues.
Oh my god. So I wasn't going to ask this before, but I think this is fun.
Go on.
Because you spoke about like things being tame and like things where when you go for people, right? So it's very well known that the whole like YouTube rap thing, like the diss track season from years ago, was fake.
Yeah.
So there were elements of reality in it, but it was all orchestrated and stuff, right? And people made a lot of money. They did their bits. It was fun, right? As a rapper, though, you're a professional. These are just YouTubers trying it. What did you make of all that? Obviously, you were growing up at the time, so you would have been a teen. You would have seen that and been like, "What do you
I
think?"
loved it. I thought it was so cool. But then I was like 15.
Yeah.
I've heard all of them back since, and I'm like, bloody hell. Like, how was I bopping to this? The only one I did like was Rotashaw's one.
Oh yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, that was the one for me. I listened to that. I was like, yeah, because he was happy to offend people, and I like that. I like that when it's down to a diss track. To be fair,
Right. So, I thought this was pretty interesting to talk about. So it's not related to you, but like I want to get your opinion on it. So Drake has taken UMG, Universal Music Group, to court in regards to Kendrick Lamar's lyrics, his diss track. So he's not. I don't think he's taken Kendrick Lamar, but he's taken the label. They share the same label, I believe, and so he's taken UMG to court for defamation over what Kendrick Lamar said in his diss tracks. Now, as I understand it, typically with diss tracks, it kind of normally happens naturally. Like the whole Eminem MGK thing kind of naturally materialized. They'll go back and forth, and then there's a clear cut winner, right? I think most people agree at this point that Kendrick Lamar won that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty like rookie gets destroyed by the world champion kind of vibes.
Mm.
And every time Drake has tried to go off on people, he's always lost every single time. It's just fact. Like, I'm not even trying to be a dickhead here. Like I like some of Drake's music. It's just he does that. He goes for people. He loses. He disappears for a while. Then he comes back and does like a diss or something, and it's like nothing ever happened. Like,
Mm.
oh, I guess I won that. And it's like, all right, if you want to believe that, fine, but it's not the case. But this, I personally think this is lunacy, right? Because if somehow the courts agree, because they've never really made a judgment from a defamation perspective on rap lyrics and whether or not they could be defamatory. I believe if you're rapping about anyone else, naturally it's going to be defamatory, but it's a song and it's someone's opinion. To me, it's like the equivalent of like if I write something on Twitter about someone, like it's like who cares, you know? Like I can see how it'd be annoying and like okay, it's if the track does really well and it's commercially successful, yeah, that's going to be a thorn in your side. But it's opinion. Like people don't have to agree with it. People might even hate that song. Where do you stand on this?
I mean, I think there's a difference between, in terms of like defamatory lyrics, there's a difference between Drake, your hair's shit, and you're a paedophile. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Right. So this is the big one.
there's
Yeah.
different gravity, to say the least. Now, I don't personally. I think in the eyes of everyone, it makes Drake a sore loser.
I agree. I agree with that.
However, putting myself in his shoes, if I was under the same label as the person who's dissing me, let's say the label I'm in now, yeah. If someone who was dissing me was in the same label, I would question why this label have allowed that to happen. Do you know what I mean? Because surely there's got to be some, but then again, we get proven wrong in this way. But surely there's got to be some form of duty of care to both parties. So if the label know that Kendrick's just about to drop a track calling Drake a nonce, like he should at least know about it before
Did he?
before it comes
Did
out.
he actually say it in so many words, or was it implied? Because I think that's really important.
I mean,
Semantics, man. Everything. Like if he literally just said you're a pedophile, like all right, that's clear cut. Everyone in the court can agree he said that. Whereas if it's like, you like him young, huh? Like that's you know, because okay,
yeah,
he has famously been texting younger people. Like he was had this weird friendship with Millie Bobby Brown. Everyone remembers it. Everyone was like, "That's a bit weird," because he's like, what, mid 30s at the time, and she was, I believe, like a young teenager. That's weird.
that is weird.
Why? You're not family. It's not like a family friend. You're not her godfather or something. Why are you talking to this person? Like, they won't. I don't believe they're even working on any projects together either. It's weird. I'm not saying that you can't be friends with someone younger, but it's not. It's not great. I think you spoke about duty of care. I think there's duty of care there to not engage in that because of how kids are impressionable. They will look at an adult and there will be a level of trust there. And look, I'm not accusing here, to be clear. I'm not saying he did or didn't do anything, so I'm legally covered there.
I think he did, personally, but all right.
Well, you said it, not me. Okay.
All right,
But
all right. I'll take that one.
to be clear, for the record, Selly the Rapper does not. I'm gonna speak for him. Does not think that Drake is a pedophile. All right, there we go.
Yeah,
You're not
come
gonna. You're
on,
just.
like, come on. I mean, right. Let's go. Let's get back to the point before I end
Yeah.
up.
All right. Let's talk about something else.
Right. So,
Well, no. The reason I bring this up, okay, what I really care about is the implications for rappers, right? Because if this goes through and Drake successfully sues UMG for defamation, that opens up a whole can of worms. Not just for current diss tracks, but the diss tracks in the past. What if MGK looks at that and goes, "Well, I really suffered as a result of that rap beef with Eminem. I'm going to sue him." What does he do?
I think it could have like free speech issues, bruv. To be
I
fair,
agree. Yeah, I think this is very dangerous waters. I
and
hope
that,
the court just throws this out.
that can be difficult, especially considering that like rap is built on political change, and people reflect like basically people giving their views. Like so many like like people just speaking out on injustice and things that are going wrong in the world. That's literally how rap started. So it could start off with you can't diss each other and then end up at you can't diss the government. Do you know what I mean? So it could be the start of a snowball effect for free speech within music. However, there's always going to be someone who defies those rules, mate.
I hope so, because I've always seen rap as very counterculture, sort of a bastion of truth and hope. And like I know there's a lot of bullshit in the charts, like people just rapping about just just pointless shit, money, guns, this, that, and the other. It's like it's very let's just show off. And I was never interested in that. I was always interested in the people that were rapping about their upbringing or what society is like, or the hypocrisy of society, or whatever's going on. Like I found that interesting because to me, rappers, much like comedians, like my favorite style of ones are storytellers, and the best can weave a story and tell you about what it's like growing up in Detroit, Plymouth, anywhere in the world, and give you an idea of what that's like. Kind of take you on a journey for a little while. That's I think where the money really is when it comes to rap, because it's another medium. I don't have to sing. I can rap. I can tell you a story, and I can do it in an entertaining way. I can do it in a way that like I like the way when rappers really care about their flow and delivery. and they kind of ride the wave of the beat, it kind of sends that, it hits that message just that little bit better, you know?
Mm.
Nothing drives me more crazy than when someone's not paying attention to their own beats. Like, use it, use it. It's gonna send that message across so much better. You know, because if music and nothing else is about the beats, it's about the rhythm. Like people, that's why, like my music's really simple, right? The song that most people seem to like from my album has two chords. It's just two, and I'm worried sometimes. Is this boring? Apparently not.
Mm.
So I don't know. I think a lot can be said for just paying more attention to the rhythm of something than it being really intricate or having like 1,000 different lyrics in it. It's like if the point's made and it's powerful and there's a story there, people will engage with it.
Couldn't agree more. Nothing to add.
But
You've hit the nail on the head.
this okay. So when I was writing about Drake, I kind of thought about this. I thought this was interesting. Do you think it's necessary for rappers to have to sing in order to be successful in today's charts? Because we're seeing this more and more. I know with Eminem, he started introducing it more and more. Well, no, yeah, he made his transition into sort of mainstream rap, hip hop, and he started singing a bit. Drake started singing more and more and more. Even some of the up and coming artists, people when KSI was getting into like his rap stuff, and I was so excited initially, and now I'm just so disappointed. But it is what it is. He started doing it, and what I realized is that there's almost like an expectation now for rappers to have to sing. Like, where do you kind of stand on that?
Um, well, do you need it to make it? No. Do you need versatility to make it? Yes, and I think that's the main thing where it lies is if if you can't sing, okay, that's fine, but you shouldn't just don't allow people to pigeonhole you into what like genre you should be or what particular style of rap you should be. And I think that's the main thing in rappers on a personal level adopting singing is I would say number one is to just get themselves out of that pigeonhole. Obviously, you're bringing in a whole new demographic when you do sing as well. And number two is so it's about the timbre of the song as well. You know, some people I know rappers that can't sing, but can hold a tune. You know, to the point where they can make melody out of that. You know, like and that helps them to say, for example, I've used it when I want to convey a little bit more vulnerability with the track. So you don't need it. However, you don't need trainers to run, but it fucking helps.
Well, eloquent way to put it, man. I love that. No, I'm not taking a piss. I mean it. That's just yeah, perfect. Okay, so in a video on TikTok, you discuss some people that you might be exposing in the future. Now, in the video, you deliberately say, like, I'm not going to name any names right now, but you kind of say, like, you're planning to do that in the future. So is this something you plan to do soon? And will those exposés be included in your songs? Is it going to be a lyrical expose situation?
I've not quite worked out how I want to do it.
Are there major people, like big people, or is it like underground? Just
Like for example, right, I can tell you a producer with combined over like 1 billion streams who like I can
is going to
quite
be catching the fire.
quite easily leave him without a career. But I'm a nice person, so I'm giving him his time to sort of come to me and reconcile. But if he doesn't do that, then he doesn't really leave me with a choice, you know.
So to be clear, was this a situation where you got some offers and stuff, and you were going to work with this person, and then something went south, and that's where we're at now? Would that be fair to say?
Oh no! Listen, mate. There's so many people watching this, knowing exactly who it is. But no,
To be clear, I don't want you to name names. Let's keep it.
it's fine. I won't.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
not because I'm worried about anything. It's just that I think that it's good to kind of leave it there at that
Yeah.
point, and you do it the way in which you've planned to do it.
Mm.
But I think with these, obviously these people have wronged you in some way. That's
Yeah,
why you're like, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it on my terms, and I think that's very sensible.
it's all good. I'll tell you what I can. I'll tell you what I can.
Okay, sure.
So on the larger level, you've got this one producer who's got over 1 billion streams combined. He worked with some very very popular artists, and he was down here. He was in Plymouth. I think he lives reasonably locally anyway. And no, so we met up, and I can always tell sort of within a night how this person's if this person's going to benefit me having them around. Not necessarily how can I use this person, but how
Mm.
will I be after interacting with this person? You know. So my main point of this is going south is drug use, like cocaine, right? If I find someone, even though it's so prominent in the music scene, if I find you and you're doing cocaine, especially on a weekday, we're never we're never going to be friends. We may be able to work together, but we're never going to be friends whatsoever, right? So this was the first time we've been meeting. He sold me a load of dreams. I can get you on this stage, get you this amount of streams, and basically giving me this lovely package of, oh yeah, everything's going to be great if you just stick with me. The thing is, I was groomed from the age of 13. I know that's bollocks, mate. You know what I mean? You can't blow smoke up my ass and expect me to just go along with it without question. Now, a lot of people would because younger, inexperienced, want the opportunities. Ultimately, I don't blame them for that, but you've got to be very wary. A lot of people in music will sell you a dream, and I don't have any respect for the people that do, to be honest with you. So no, like this bloke, we got a little bit closer, and he just fucked me around. You know, like it became so apparent that he was just looking for someone to while he was around, he was looking for someone to validate his addiction, right? So
Okay.
he was
Yeah.
he was just looking for a drug buddy. But the thing is, he was taking me around to these exclusive places, green rooms with like international artists, and he was just, he was trying to give it the whole, oh, I'm the biggest in this room. All of you lot should bow down to me because I've got all these streams and shit like that. And it's like, there's no wonder he didn't get anyone's number. Do you know what I mean? Like he hasn't spoken to anyone else off the back of this because it's arrogance, And I really don't like that. That alongside with how he's treated some of the people that I also work with throughout the scene. It's not just my complaints. There's also certain videographers that I've worked with that he's come into their life. He's found out what connects and links that he's had. He's used this person to get to those connects, and once he's got them, he's gone. Right now, some people would just say that's business, right? But
Mm-mm.
when you're posing yourself as a friend, yeah, but in reality, you're just using them for their opportunity and their connections, you're an arsehole. You are an arsehole. But yeah, on a smaller local level, there's down here in Plymouth, there's some promoters who they're not legit. They make about £6 profit a show, but yet they're not like a limited company or anything like that. They ain't paying taxes, and it's not legit. But yet they're offering opportunities to local artists, not realizing that it's illegal. Do you know what I mean? What they're doing is illegal, and at some point, it's all gonna come crashing down. Especially when it's like, so how have these people got funded in the first place? They can't get grants. They're not a limited company. How have they got that funding in the first place? And all you got to do is look at the people around them and what they're doing with their day to day, right? I'm hoping you're understanding what I'm saying, and then you see where the funding is coming from. You catch my drift?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
It's I mean, we were talking about psychology earlier. Like I really don't understand why people don't just think before they do. I mean, you said arrogance there. I think that's a huge part of it. Ego. Like, I've had people do the same, blow smoke up my ass, and I'm like, well, put your money where your mouth is then. Like I'm ready. I work very hard. I'm gonna do. XYZ. But if you expect me to run after you, beg you, it's not going to happen. If you expect me to change what I do, not going to happen. If you expect me to fuck people over who've given me opportunities, not going to do it. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
I know that people will say, you know, what you said, like, oh, it's just business, Christian. You know, you got to fake it till you make it. You got to, you know, you got to make these moves. And I'm like, no, not at the expense of other people. Other people might do that, but I value my morals. I value doing things the right way and building connections the right way. And like you said about vibes, like I had the same thing. I can tell fairly quickly where someone's intentions lie at. Sometimes people expose themselves a bit later, but a lot of the time it's blaringly obvious that they're trying to get something from you, and you're like, you just put them at arm's distance. Like, nah,
yeah,
you're not getting what you want. Like,
yeah.
go find some other mug.
Important to acknowledge, especially when you're in a reasonably rural area and you're trying to make it. Everyone knows each other, bruv. You know what I mean? And like, listen, I've done shit wrong. People, everyone knows this. You know what I mean? Like, I won't deny it. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not a nice person sometimes. You know what I mean? But one thing to acknowledge is if you step on someone on the way up, they will piss on you on the way down. Do you know what I mean? So you need to be very, very mindful of who you fuck over, essentially, because you never know when your next L's gonna come. You never know when you're gonna take a tumble, and you're like, and no one's there to back you up because you've been nothing but a prick to everyone.
I also think as well, like, if you, like, I don't lie, I tell the truth, right? Sometimes to a fault.
Can you say 100% you never lie? Because I don't think
Have I told white lies? Yes.
okay.
I deliberately skirt around issues when I don't want to give like 100%. Like, so I won't lie. I'll just avoid it.
It's not.
But if you ask me point blank, I will tell you the truth.
Mm. Okay. Okay.
Like, it's, and even if it makes me look bad, I would rather look bad but be honest and know I don't have to look over my shoulder than lie to your face and disrespect you, because I find that insulting, disrespectful, and I think that's the worst thing you can do. You know, so they say, oh, it takes a lifetime to build up trust and a matter of seconds to break it. And I think you afford yourself a lot when you do that. And I equate that with like fucking people over. Like, it's gonna come back to haunt you. You know, it might not happen today, tomorrow, a year from now, but it will happen, and it will happen in spectacular fashion. And like you said, you no one can ever prepare themselves for the L's. The only thing they can do is work on how they take things in life, and also just make a point of, this is who I am, this is what I do. So if you deliberately conduct yourself in a professional way, you don't mess people about, that's what people are going to say about you. You know, if you are someone who fucks people about, people rarely say stuff to people's faces. It's always whispers behind your back. That's how human beings work. Not everyone, but most people. And especially like in the music industry, like, I'm willing to bet at some point that producer you mentioned said something along the lines of, if you do XYZ for me, I will give you XYZ. And then you went, well, no, that's not how I work. Da, 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 da. And then he said, well, you're never going to make it with that. You're never going to make it. Never going to make it in this industry. Like, you need someone like me to help you make it. Would I
No,
be fair?
that bit, yeah. That bit, yeah. That you
Right.
need someone like me. It's almost like the narcissistic abusive relationship without being in the confines of your own home. Do you know what I mean? It's like the getting rid of everyone around you, isolating you as a person, so you'll only rely on that one person. Yeah, you did that 100%.
Yeah, it's manipulation. It's like wow, we could go this whole podcast on that. There was a singer I had on my show a few years ago, and she's really talented. And she told me that earlier in her career, she was offered a record deal, and the stipulation was that they. She told them her story, And she's a very proud woman, proud of her heritage, all this, right? And they turn around, they're like, right, so here's your story. Here's what we're going to do. So you need to say that you came from a broken home or whatever, and that you're an orphan. And they just like created a fantasy story for her, like it's fucking X Factor or something, like a sob story.
Yeah.
And it's well known that people lie in the industry. They get given fake sob stories, and sometimes they're exposed, sometimes they're never exposed. But she was like, she turned around and she was like, I'm not saying that. I'm not doing that. What do you mean? And they're like, oh, no, no, no. Like, you have to do this or you'll never make it. And she's like, I'm not going to lie about my heritage and who I am for a fucking record deal. Like, you can do one. And I always respected that because I'm like, yeah, you're just living a lie otherwise. And imagine how tiring that would get over time, constantly having to deny who you are. Maybe even having to deny who you are when everyone knows, everyone is exposed it. We live in the age of truth, the age of information. Everything can be searchable, trackable, you know. Like, why lie like that? Why do that? But people do. And I can only think that it's because of these promises, these, well, we'll give you this money. Just shut up, just do what we tell you, and you'll get this, you'll get this, you'll get. And I just think it's very fickle. You know, I would rather be able to look at myself in the mirror and go, I like who I am. I respect who I am, and I have the respect of my friends and family because I never did any of that. You know, I don't try to sell bullshit to people. I just give them what's real, and they take it or leave it. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think, listen, I've been in similar positions, not necessarily been told to lie, but I think something to think about is that they have something to offer, right? And they
Right.
take that. I think, especially for the less experienced artists, I'm not saying this singer that you interviewed is, it seems like she's got a lot of experience under her belt. But especially for the less experienced artists, they want that. Like, they want that so bad that they're willing to do anything for it, you know?
Bingo.
Even if it means, you know, sacrifice their own integrity. I've been there, you know, I'll be honest, I've done some shit that I've been told I'm gonna make it off the back of, and that, like, you know, not like Diddy level, but like I've done some things that I look back on and I think, why did I do that? What did it gain me? And yet, actually, no. It gained me something, but I lost a lot more because
Wow.
I that, like, inside on a personal level, the way I feel about myself, and you know, and it's ultimately it's all down to that person's individual position at the time. Like, morality to me is like, I think it's relative. There are moral absolutes, okay, but even those moral absolutes, when you're in a position where you are desperate and you're poor and you've not
Yeah.
eaten, things like stealing become something that is needed to be done. You're not worried about the morals of it. Do you know what I mean?
This
And
is why life's not black and white. It's shades of grey. Like, it's contextual. Like, exactly what you're saying. Like, if you're starving, bro, like, well, am I going to lay here and die? Like, no, I'll probably will steal something. And yes, it's wrong, but how am I going to survive?
exactly, and it's exactly the same for musicians. Like, there are a lot of musicians that are in difficult positions financially. I think yeah, exactly. So you're me that if someone comes to you and truly can solve those problems, however, you have to sacrifice a small amount of integrity. The majority of people, I'm not saying you, my friend, but
No, no, no. You're spot on. Majority of people are going to go for that deal, and let me put it this way. I'm basically rephrasing what you said. Like, you might not pay now, but my God, will you pay later?
yeah.
And more than you'll ever know. It won't be money either. It'll be worse than that.
No, it'd be like videos of you getting bummed.
Look. I mean, look. The Diddy trial is on. It's
Yeah,
day one, and it's already crazy. And I think some people are saying it, and I agree. It's going to massively change the trajectory and the state of hip hop. You're going to see a lot of people get exposed if they haven't already. And I would hope if you take a lesson from this, it would be to really pay attention to who you put your stock in and who you believe in, because chances are they probably were involved with the wrong people. I'm not saying that like everyone is a bad person, everyone's, been involved in nefarious stuff. But if you look at people like, say, 50 Cent, who's been calling out people for years and years and years and years, and like he's never erred on it, he's always been consistent with it. And then you look at people like Diddy and just like the endless clips. Like the one that comes to mind for me is the Mike Tyson clip. I find it fascinating. Have you ever seen it?
No, I haven't.
Go check it out afterwards. For those who have not seen it, I'll explain it real quick. It's a chat show. It's what's that guy? Arsenio Hall, I think. So comedian, I think it was like the mid-90s, and Arsenio Hall's interviewing them. You've got Diddy on the right, or left, sorry, and Mike Tyson on the right. And this is at the height of Mike Tyson. So Diddy is like trying to touch Mike Tyson's leg or something. Like he's trying to feel him up. And Mike Tyson, like, I'm surprised he didn't just get up and knock him out then, to be honest. He showed a lot of restraint, but he made a point of physically adjusting himself, like moving himself away, right? He sort of flaps his coat and then he kind of like rubs his leg, and I think and then he turns like his body language towards Diddy as if to say, like, I'm watching you now. What are you doing? Like, you don't do that to me.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, Diddy is like stuttering, doesn't know what to do. He's just, and it's like he's trying that with Mike, and Mike's like, ain't happening. But a lot of people, unfortunately, probably did give in, and I don't know. It's all just whispers at this point. But it all starts with that Cat Williams podcast on Shannon Sharp. I feel like there's a lot of truth in his words.
I mean, bruv, like, you know, it's like an age-old joke where your mates will go, I'm not gay, but 20 quid's 20 quid. Do you know what I mean? Like, this ain't 20 quid, mate. This is like, I don't know. You don't know what these people are being offered, bruv. And this, like, it's the actual situation of, like, would you take it, mate? Like, would you take it in the arse for £1 million?
No.
See, certain people would. And this
No, I know, but I don't understand why. I'm blown away by it. I don't get it. Like, they're like, oh, come on, you're like, it's £1 million, Christian. Don't be ridiculous. And I'm like, look, I value my integrity. I value that. I think it's worth so much more. Like, when you die, when you're on your deathbed, right? Is that £1 million gonna be comforting you and be like your saving grace and like, oh, you know, I'm so glad that happened. You know, like, no.
Record, now that we're recording, I Selly the Rapper would not take it in the arts. this is
for the legal records. Fuck's sake. All right. let's move on.
All right.
Yes, I just like it's just fuck. Okay, what's the Plymouth rap scene like? Because I've got a friend who lives in Plymouth, and let's just say he's not singing the praises of Plymouth.
Well, he's not been to my gigs, has he?
There you go. Missing out, Shay.
Listen,
go on.
It's all right. It's a lot better now, even though it's not much now. Like when I first got here, there was nothing. But it's mainly like drum and bass. You know what I mean? Everything sort of stays somewhat around its origin point. So drum and bass started in Bristol. So like the whole of the Southwest are all skanking to drum and bass. It's only been promoters and club owners didn't really believe in what we were trying to do. Like there's sort of, I would say personally, there's 10 artists here in Plymouth that I can vouch for. And I'd say 4 of them are still shit, but they're nice people. So promoters, they weren't believing in what we were doing until a set group of people brought like a larger drill rapper down from London, like M24 or like Dino. So once those people started coming down, it showed to the clubs elsewhere that people want to see that. you know. So people have been quite a lot more receptive now than what they were. But to be honest with you, for the past for the past 2 years, I've been actively searching for gigs. It's been tough. Like, it's been very tough. Like, this is the reason why I've got such a good network in London, Southampton, Manchester, is because like I'd rather travel like 200 miles to go to a gig full of people where they're receptive to what I'm putting
Mm,
across than walk down the road and stand in front of, I don't know, 100 people that couldn't really give a fuck. You know what I mean?
totally
There's people who actually, I mean, anywhere, there's people who actually want to listen and like really take in what you're saying, and there's people who don't. But it's finding and locating that demographic that do want to listen to it down here, and we're only just doing that now. But you know, it's not to say that, like, because I used to think that it was, I don't know, 18 to 30, but since I've started doing street performances and started setting up PA systems in the middle of town, like, you'd be surprised who's actually up for listening to this kind of music. So I think a lot of it is, you know, I want to put myself in like sort of like places like cabarets and shit like that, and start using like the older 80s 90s beats to get that demographic
good.
going, because you know it's music at the end of the day. What they don't like is drill, particularly because it incites violence and drug use and all of that, and that's fine. I hate that too, but it's like I'm not doing that, so you got no reason to judge me for that. You know what I mean?
Let me know when you're next in Manchester. I'd love to come see you play. That'd be good.
Okay, I will do.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let's quickly talk about this deal that you just signed. So you've signed with DJR Success Entertainment. Tell us about that.
Um, right. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm,
oh don't.
no, I'm going to need this clip because there's a lot of speculation about why I've made this decision. So David, the owner of the label, personally, when I first met him, I didn't like him. I'm gonna be completely honest. You know, I've got to be transparent. Like, I didn't like him. I expressed my views to everyone I know that I didn't like him, and that's the reason why there's so much speculation now that I'm working with him, because it's like, well, you didn't like him a couple of months ago. But I think the main thing is you know, it's a grassroots sort of label, and I can see the vision for what he's trying to do, and we're trying to do, and I respect that. The only issue that I did have with him when he first started off is the fact I could tell he was he was trying to be genuine and not be that guy who was selling a dream. However, he physically didn't have the experience or capacity to make these things happen that he said he was going to. No matter how much he wanted to, he just didn't have the experience or the resources. And I can understand that, you know, but it's when it's the, you know, I do this for a living, bruv. You know what I mean? So if you tell me you're going to be able to pay my rent 1 month, and then 2 days before that happens, you can't do that, I'm not going to be happy. You know. And I told that to him at the time. That was the situation that happened. You know, he set up a gig and had to cancel it. And, you know, that's fine. I wasn't happy at the time because I had to work out how I was going to eat and how I was going to pay my rent. But the main thing I was annoyed about was lack of result, despite all the talk that was coming out his mouth. So when this was last year, when we got to this year, I was I was a little bit more set up. Didn't really have to, like, I didn't need him as much. I think the issue before was like I was relying a lot on him because he said he could do those things, but now I truly don't need him. So we met up a few weeks ago, started talking, and he started telling me about what he wants to do, and I was like, right, okay, let me stop you there. Before I even sign anything, I want to see some results before. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to see you do something, because so far what I've got to show is nothing, absolutely nothing. So you know, he started getting me some like media appearances and whatnot. Oh, he's just texted me now. um, but no, he started getting me like some media appearances, and managed to get me in contact with a radio station to get me like my own radio show, setting up artists down here, which is it's really good, really positive for me. Like, I would sign just off that, so that's exactly what I did. Like, the opportunity's there, but let me just make it clear, he doesn't own any of my music. Like he doesn't. Like I'm not signing any. I was very careful to make sure that I'm not signing any royalties or anything like that away. Right. In fact, this is one for the people as well. What I said to him was, I'm not giving you a penny unless you make it for me. Right. So I'm not like I'm not signing anything away. I'm like I've worked very hard for all of my own intellectual property, and I wouldn't let anyone profit off that. Like I wouldn't unless it was for good reason. So now we're sort of at a point where we're rebuilding the trust in that relationship. But it's not like a manager employee type relationship. Like, let me make it clear, like, I'm a director of his company, and like I'm an advisor to his label as well, like documented. There are contracts for that. Like, I'm not just he's signed to my label, you know what I mean, so he's just going to turn up to the studio. No, like, he calls me for advice, like he calls me to work out how to set up ciphers and all of that. So it's just as beneficial for him as it is for me. It's a partnership. It's not I now my ass belongs to David Rickson. Like, it's not how it works.
I'm glad I asked. I wasn't even thinking of asking, but like it's sounds like you got a good deal there. And to be honest, it's the kind of deal you want. Like bit of a different example, but so I also do acting, right? And I do like acting, voice acting, etc. And I don't have an agent for music. I don't have it for voice acting, but I do have it for acting and film. And recently, I've been yeah, like I've always every day I'm applying for stuff, auditioning, etc. Right? And you've got two types of agreements. You've got exclusive and non-exclusives. And for voice acting, they tend to be you tend to be on a separate contract for that with acting, right? And I was a bit concerned, like, oh, if I'm applying for these things, am I exclusive and am I not? So I looked at my contract again, and I have read for it already, but like a reminder. Oh, I'm on a non-exclusive. Not only can I apply for whatever I want, and they don't get a cut of that because that's my own stuff that I've gotten, but I can also sign with other agencies if I want. I'm not going to do that, but if I wanted to, I could. And it's a pretty cool one, and it's fair. Like they get a cut of what they get me, which I think that's a better way to do business. And with the setup that you've got there, makes much more sense. Like why should the agency or whoever get money from stuff that you like they haven't in any way financed or created or whatever? That's your music, and I would love to sign to an indie label for that reason. I don't want to sign with a major label. Like, yeah, all right, the resources would be great, but like, I don't want them to own my music. I don't want to get anything from that because it's my music, it's not yours. Like, well, fuck, I totally agree with that. I think it's very sensible, and and you've approached it pure business. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've ironed it out, and you've both sat down and agreed and gone, yeah, all right, this is how we're going to conduct business, and it's all above board and official, and that's how it should be done.
Yeah, man. I think ultimately I missed, like, I just had enough of sourcing, like, things like this. Me being sat on this, but this is down to David. This ain't down
Yep.
to me.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
It gives me more time to fucking source gigs and other ways of making money through music. Because otherwise, I'd be scouring the internet looking for you, Christian. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's and it does take a lot of time. Like, sort of like the admin and the mundial and writing up sort of articles to post onto publications and things like that. I'm not good at that. Do you know what I mean? And I was really stressing myself out, and it made me feel like I was lazy because I wasn't doing these things. But in reality, it was just too much of a load on my shoulders with everything else. So it's been really nice to be able to sign some responsibility away and go, yeah, this is your job. This isn't my job anymore. Here you go. Bye. You know what I mean?
I completely understand. I desperately need it myself. Like I do everything myself now, and I have been for years, and it is tiring. It's so tiring. Like sooner or later, you do need to hand the reins of stuff
You know
over.
what I mean? I'm 20, bro. Look at me. This is what it's done to me, man. I look like 32, apparently.
No, you don't. You look great, mate. You look great. When I said I thought you were more my age, I didn't mean looks. I mean more like you seem very mature. Do you know what I mean? And that's a good thing. You know, you look great. You look like mid-20s, I would say.
He's backpedaling now, isn't he?
No, I go back and hear what I said. Yeah, I don't lie. I don't bullshit.
You should, bro. You should chat to Dave. I'm sure there's something he could do for you if you're looking to.
You never know. You never know. I mean, I think for me, I'm very particular about the stuff that I'm looking for. I don't know exactly what it is. If it's a talent manager, if it's an agent, I don't know. For example, with this podcast, I used to do clips. I stopped doing clips for a few reasons. The main one was after 4.5 years of doing it, it didn't in any way improve the results. You know, it was getting traction, but it just wasn't helping the podcast, which is the reason that you do clips. You know, it's supposed to drive the traction to the show, and it was taking so much of my time to do it and not get anything back, and that is key. So, like, I think I would want someone to create a new channel and just do clips for me. That would be number one. Number two would be someone to help me with social media. Number three would be, I guess, music promotion. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer that things happen at the time they're supposed to happen. And it's progress. Like, a lot of people give up. Like, I've been pushing this like 6 years now. Like this show, been doing this 5 years, over 300 episodes. It takes time to get good at your craft. And you know, one of the things that David asked me was about my stats for the show. We don't have I don't have amazing stats on this show. It varies. It's sometimes I get a show that gets hundreds or thousands of views, listens. Other times it's like scraping 5. It's really weird. It's difficult. And I said to him, I was like, it's difficult for me to give you like a definitive, like, here's what it is. All I can tell you is audience is mostly American, English, European split. And then it's like 60-40 female, male. And you know, like, if nothing else, I'll give you a very good interview. That's what I do. That's what I'm good at.
That's the only thing I care about, bro. To be fair, is the interview. Like, the viewership is like, for me, this is something I give to the viewers, right? So, like, I know you say that you don't clip it, but I'll want this, and I'll clip it myself. You know what I mean?
Go for it. Yeah.
This is purely just extra stuff to give to the viewers. I don't really mind how many viewers you have. I know I'm going to bring viewers to you, but all I wanted today was just like an authentic, genuine conversation. Just give me a chance to, like, you know, lay out who I am. And, you know, it's been nice to meet you as well, bro. I'm sure this is
you too, man.
time to speak. Do you know what I mean? I find it always positive. It's not always about views, mate. You know what I mean? But then Dave's just doing his job. He's like, I want to get him to the biggest podcast and all that.
No, I listen, I honestly think, like, with you, what you're doing, it is just a matter of time and getting those right contacts. I would love to see you on those bigger shows. I think you got the personality, you got the mindset there, you know, you got your shit figured out. Now it's just a case of moving those resources and being like, right, how can I get to where we want us to get, kind of thing, you know? Matter of time and resources.
It takes time. It's a snowball thing. Like, do you think everyone starts off at Wembley? Like, no, it don't happen, does it? Like, so, like, this is the small podcast, and then something will lead off here. I'll end up at another one, and then in a year, I don't know, I'll be sat there with Andrew Tate. Not that I want that, but.
All right, a couple of final questions for you to round things off, completely unrelated to today's topics. Actually, well, no, this is still actually in rap-related question. What has rap taught you about life?
Okay. Right, so there's a lot of things. This is the thing, right? So I would say know what you have. Don't feel like you have to prove it to everyone else what you have, because you're only going to come across like a bitch. Don't make your problems everyone else's problems, because it's, you know, people have got their own shit to deal with. So when you're in like, you know, like a meeting and whatnot, it's like, oh, sorry, I've got this going on, this going on, this going on. It's like, fuck off, no one cares. Like, no one cares. Don't make your problems other people's problems. Obviously, there's a time and a place for it, but usually within music, there's no point. And just stay positive. Stay positive. Don't let the fuckers grind you down. You're gonna have so many people that don't want to see you do well. So many people that are going to tear you apart intentionally, whether it be in a diss environment or just online or in person. Like there's always going to be people who don't like what you do. But usually the amount of people who don't like what you do is a direct correlation of how well you're actually doing. I see anyway. In terms of jealousy, like there are people whose opinions do not fucking matter. They've got no credentials in music, right? If they don't like what you're doing, 9 times out of 10 is because they have a personal problem with you, not because of your music. 9 times out of 10 is because they just don't like you. Now, focus more on getting your music respected and liked by the right people within the scene. As long as you're impressing those people, those are these guys, these haters, they don't matter. They do not matter.
Fantastic stuff, man. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Mm, mm. Pray about it. That's
Mm.
like I'm a man of God, right?
Okay.
The best piece of advice I've ever had is always just pray. If you feel happy, celebrate, pray. If you feel sad, you need guidance, pray. Like prayer is the answer to everything. But like that's the best advice that I've got.
So I'm not like a big religious guy. I do believe in God and stuff, the universe. I got like my own little weird thing that I believe in. Um, but I do remember like I saw this clip one time. It was like street interviews, and this guy pulls this guy aside. He's like a tall black man, like dressed really well, quite clearly very rich. And he just said like, "Hey man, like, what do you do? Like, tell me about yourself. You're a successful man, all this." And they have a little mini interaction, and then he goes, "Okay, like, to what do you owe your success? Like, what's your mindset?" It's some sort of question like that. And he says, "Everything that I think and that I try to apply it to something in scripture and see if it matches up. And if it does, I run with it." I just thought that was fascinating. This idea of like, okay, you're trying to match it up with what you believe in, and he swore by it. Like he was like, I apply this all the time. I read it, I study it every single day, and that's how I approach it.
Mm.
And I think it's whether you're religious or not religious. I think a lot can be said for sticking to your principles and the things that you believe in and being consistent with it. You know, you mentioned positivity there, not caring about what people think, like, you know, like really just trying to stick within what you're doing and finding your own audience. Like, I look at my efforts right now. I know that a lot of the people that I say play to weekly are not my audience. They don't really care. There might be a few people that, and a few of my friends have even told me that they listen to my music, which is pretty mind-boggling. I'm like, really? But that's cool. That's good to hear. But like for the most part, you know, I can see the apathy in the rooms that I play in. I can see some people are interested, some people not. But I'm finding more of the people that are interested in my music are online, and it comes from every single day posting and posting and posting. I'm up to day 173 of posting about promoting my music since my first proper single came out in, I think it was October or November last year. The album dropped March 28th, and I've been just every single day, boom, 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 boom. And it's crazy. Like, you get consistent with that. People look at you like you're crazy for it and silly, but you know what? I don't care. I'm reaching these new people. People are asking, like, there was a person today, like, "Oh, I love this song. Where can I find it?" I was like, "Is it on Spotify?" Like, "Yes, it's called this. Hope you like it." If you And they were like, "Thank you," and I was like, "Great, you can. I hope you like the rest of the album. Promote the album." You know, it's just talking to people, interacting. Like you'll find your audience, 100%,
Mm, mm.
100%.
Definitely, I think. Yeah, no, like it's just communication. You know, like it's. I found like the inverse effect. So people don't particularly like me online, but in
Hmm.
person, like I find I create such a great audience. Say if I'm out busking, like it's like people just come to me, you know, it's like they just flock to me. But if I was to try and get all those people online to come through, like, it would just never happen. Like, I'm
I
just
I
gone.
think it's because like there's an idea of you, and then there's you.
Yeah,
You come across as a lovely bloke, right? And I think it's more people see you as like this. Oh, he's this shit disturber rapper. He's like, trouble. And then they spend 5 minutes talking to you, and they're like, oh, this is a nice bloke, good dude. Yeah,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I think that
I think
that's
it's that.
it's. Yeah, I mean, nah, I feel you. I feel this like. Let me just compose myself. I just had like 5 different points. No, but that's the power of social media. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you have some really people who appear really lovely online but are actually horrible,
Yeah.
and then people who are like really, you know, they can like really irritate you because of how they display their views online or how they appear online, but in person they're actually really nice. You know,
There it is.
like, can you really judge anyone from their Instagram page? That's the question.
No, no, the whole thing's a marketing thing, isn't it? It's just advertising, you
Yeah,
know?
but for some people, that's all they have of me. You know, like that's all they have to judge me off.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I always think that like it's like you say, once you've sat down with someone and spoken to them for more than an hour, I think then like I have, then you get a better idea of a person, I think. I don't think you can judge people in snapshots, especially what you see online. You know, there's people that follow me for years and they think they know me fully, and I'm like, trust me, you don't know me fully. You know me fairly well, and some of you have become my friends, but it's what you choose to show. It's, I never believe it's sensible to show everything. I think it's you show what you want to show. I think it's good to be authentic, but I think it's dangerous to show everything, to give everything. I don't think you should ever do that. Even with those closest to you, always keep a little bit for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to give everything away. I think it's difficult as an artist because I don't want to just show this side of me that is like this massive rapper. You know what I mean? Like I've got a lot of songs that are reflective of that. That are like, oh, I'm Selly and da 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 da. I've got a massive ego and I'm a legend. Do you know what I mean? But then I've also got songs that are very vulnerable and like very. They show you a completely different side of me. Um,
And that'll be the stuff that wins people over ultimately. Do you know what I mean? As you keep going in your rap career and you release more and more music, um, people will get it. People will get the vision. You know, it's still early days, and it's an exciting journey, man. I envy you. Right, couple more. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
biggest life lesson: don't cheat.
Yes.
That's the biggest life lesson, hands down.
Final one. Do you have any upcoming projects or final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Um, yeah, I think the main thing that I want to say is let this be, no matter who you are, let this be your notification to just go through your friends and just see who actually has your best intentions at heart. Go do that because I feel like sometimes you need to do that. Like every few months or so, just take stock of who's new in your life and what intentions they have for you. Um, and if they don't align with what you want for your life, then for God's sake, get them out of your life. And I say that with love after learning the hard way numerous times. But yeah, everyone needs to do that.
Totally agree. Could not agree more. It's been an absolute pleasure, man. I thank you so much for appearing on the show, for giving us your time, telling us a little bit about yourself, what you're bringing to the table. Like I said at the beginning, it's exciting times for you. I can only see good things. All I would say is just keep this mindset, man, and sky's the limit.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, no, it's been great to have a bit of conversation with you, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'll tell you what, I am very envious of the hair. Like, I used real long hair. And now,
Just don't go to the barbers for 4 or 5 years. You'll be all right.
oh no, oh, no. But in this heat though, bruv, like you know,
Oh, mate, it's yeah. Um, it's not as bad as you'd think, but it's annoying. I've been thinking about cutting it, and I don't know. I don't know, because what I want to do eventually is when I do cut it, is I want to donate it to charity. I want to make it a big thing, make some money and get that to a charity. But I just don't know. It's the timing. It's figuring it out. I don't know yet. It doesn't feel like the right time, but I feel like it's coming.
yeah. Like, you wait just a little bit more mental instability, and it will be gone.
Ah! Diet Blue and change my name. No, right. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Just want to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching and listening. All the followers, the listeners of the Christian Reeve podcast, thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you to David for putting this show together. Go out of your way to check out Selly. I really think he deserves so much attention with everything he's doing, and you should go out of your way to check him out. He's really, really good. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I'll see you all in the next one.